so much for joining me back here. Today we're going to talk about all the books that I read in October. I actually had a pretty good reading month in October. I managed to read 7 books. Oh, that was my phone. I managed to read 7 books, which is great. And like 2 of them were physical reads, so how great is that? I just broke my case, I think. Oh no, oh yeah, I did. I just cracked it. Oh, you can't even see it. I just cracked the corner of my case. You know how many times I've dropped this phone and it hasn't broken before? Okay, she's tired, but not quite tired enough for a nap, so she's gonna hang out with me for a minute. So I'm not gonna talk about these in the order that I read them necessarily. I'm kind of going to lump series together. The first book that I'm gonna talk about is a reread for me. I reread The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik in preparation for the new one that came out in September, which I will get to in a minute. Last Graduate, my favorite in the series. I talked about it in my favorites of the year, I think. It is the second book of the series, so I'm not going to go too much into it. Basically, the Scholomance series, trilogy, I guess, is what this is about this magical school that all of the kids in the wizarding world, magical world, I guess, they're not really wizards. They're like, I don't know, it's just magic. They get sent to this school for protection, essentially, because the Malls and Maleficaria feed on the mana that they produce, that wizards produce, and younger wizards, I'm just going to call them wizards, younger wizards, witches, whatever, are not powerful enough and knowledgeable enough to know how to use their mana to defend themselves. So they're sent to this school to protect them while they learn The Last Graduate. She graduates. Next, guys, I did a whole reading vlog on this one. I have The Golden Enclaves by Naomi Novik. This is the last one in this trilogy, and I was so disappointed by it. I did a reading vlog on it. If you want more in-depth thoughts, it is full of spoilers. Be forewarned. How can I talk about it without giving spoilers? Let me just say that it wasn't what I expected. There is a relationship that pops up in this book that I did not understand, did not really think it was necessary, and Orion is one of my favorite characters, and I was not completely satisfied with how he was handled in this book. That's all I'm going to say. I love her. She's one of my favorite authors, but this one fell a little short for me, unfortunately. Next up, I have a sweet romantic comedy by one of my favorite rom-com authors. I have Really Rearranged by Emma St. Clair. I loved it. Basically, our main character, whose name is Seraphina, is betrothed to this other prince, but he didn't realize they were betrothed. So she's known it like their whole childhood. She's grown up thinking she's going to marry this man, and in turn has kind of developed feelings for him based on this knowledge, whereas he was not told until, hey, it's time for you two to get engaged. And so he kind of rebels and starts dating around and gets a little awkward in terms of their relationship with each other. And so this other guy in the influential royal realm, I don't know how you would say it. I think he's a duke. His name is Rafe. It kind of comes up with this plan with her to pretend that they're dating, pretend that they are together, to make the other prince jealous, so he will come around and agree to marry her and fulfill the plan that their parents had made. It's great. It's hilarious. I don't know where it lands in terms of my favorite series of hers. I did really like it because I like royal romances. Excuse you. Excuse you. Who do you think you are, climbing up the stairs? It's full of some great romance tropes. I feel like Emma St. Clair is kind of a tropey writer, but that's okay. I love that about her personally. We have Unrequited Love, that has always been a thing that the other person is not even aware of. We have the broody, grumpy playboy, oh now you're waving, who softens for his true love, that type of thing. It's great. Recommend it. I always recommend anything by Emma St. Clair. Next up, I also have a book that I did a reading vlog on that is not out yet. I need to edit it and stuff like that. But I have Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. Last book in the Throne of Glass series. I started reading it physically and realized like, this thing is long. And I was not getting through it very quickly. So I signed up for a free trial on Audible and used an Audible credit to finish reading it. Very glad I did. I finished it way faster than if I had tried to read it physically. Loved it. The ending of this one, like I say, I did a reading vlog on it, so, but there is like a teaser type thing at the end of this. This is all I'll say because I don't want to spoil it. There's a teaser thing at the end of this, and if you've read it, you probably know what I'm talking about. Blew my mind. Blew my mind, and I don't even remember it being mentioned in the other one. So I'm just like, I need to, I don't know. I need to go through all of her series and annotate and tab and find connections. My mind is blown with Sarah J. Maas. I'm very glad that I finished this series. This one was great. This is what I'm talking about. I recommend this series. Lastly, I have a rom-com series that I want to talk about. It's another royal rom-com series by Melanie Summers. I have The Royal Crown, The Royal Jewels? The Crown Jewels. Why is it so hard for me to say that word? The Crown Jewels trilogy by Melanie Summers. The first one is The Royal Treatment, the second one is The Royal Wedding, and the third one is The Royal Delivery. I love these. They're spicier. They're not like clean romances, but they're nothing too like heavy or anything like that. More so humor-wise. The male protagonists in these, we get both points of view. We get the female and the male. Arthur, I think is his name. Hilarious. I listened to these on an audiobook on Scribd. He's kind of, he's misogynistic without recognizing that he's misogynistic. He'll just say like these off-the-wall comments that are kind of endearing rather than angering. I found them hilarious, personally. I don't know. I still think about his character. I thought he was great. He cracked me up all the time. I loved it. I loved it. Basically, I'll talk about the first one because, of course, it's a series and I don't want to spoil the whole series. But in the first one, our main character, our female character, what is her name? Tess? It is Tess. It's Tessa. Okay. I did remember. It's just like in the depths of my mind, apparently. So Tessa, our main female protagonist, is what they call the royal watchdog. So she runs a blog about the royal family and kind of criticizes them, calls them to action, points out all the things that they're doing wrong and the things that she thinks they could do better to help their country. And lo and behold, popularity-wise, the royal family are not really in the best light right now. So Arthur kind of does a lot of the work that the king should do, even though he's a prince, because his dad spends a lot of time out and about doing his own thing, just frolicking around the world. So Arthur is left at home to do the business side of running the country. So he comes up with this good plan. He's like, hey, who's our biggest hater right now? Who's our biggest critic? And his team tells him, hey, this royal watchdog lady who runs this blog, Tessa, is your biggest critic. So he's like, okay, let's bring her to the palace. She can stay here, see what it's really like for the royal family, and hopefully her mind, her perception will be changed, and she can kind of filter out this information for everyone else. And if we can make our biggest critic a lover of the royal family, maybe it will change everyone else's mind. That's the basic premise. It's hilarious. The humor in this is great. There's a lot of witty analogies that cracked me up. Melanie Summers is just, she's funny. She has another series, I think it's a trilogy too, that I would like to read that's kind of about a spin-off character from this trilogy, from the original one. I tried listening to them on audiobook, but the narrators were kind of not for me. That's besides the point. This trilogy right here, hilarious. Recommend it. There's some language that So I have a habit of listening to audiobooks constantly, like in the car even. Did not listen to this in the car with my children just because I did not want them to hear the language, so be forewarned of that. But otherwise, it's great. It's hilarious. Like I say, there's a little spicy stuff, but it's more so hinted at instead of actually shown. So there we go. Those are the books that I have read in October. I had a pretty good reading month, both in terms of quantity and quality. The only one I was really disappointed in, unfortunately, is The Golden Enclaves. Otherwise, I pretty much enjoyed the rest of my reads, which is great. Let me add up. I have finished some books recently that I need to add to my Goodreads, and I will tell you where I'm at for the year. Ooh! I recently, this will be in my next wrap up, but I've been rereading Twilight, and I never give ratings, but apparently I did for Twilight, and I gave it 2 stars whenever I first read it. That's kind of hilarious to me. All right, so for the end of the year, currently I'm sitting at 89 books out of 100. That's the most books I've ever read in a year. I think last year I read like 50 something, like 56, 59 or something like that. And that was the most I've ever read in a year. And that was my entirety of last year, of 2021. I'm sitting at 89 books right now, which feels great. To be fair, I've read a lot of audiobooks this year. I would be interested to go through and see how many were audiobooks. I will probably go through and count that up whenever I do my end of the year wrap up. But right now, read 89 books of my goal of 100. I am 4 books ahead of schedule. Feeling good about myself, guys. Again, a lot of rereads, a lot of audiobooks. Who cares? This is my life. I'm gonna do it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe down below and leave a comment. You guys are awesome. I'm so thankful for you. Let me know if you've read any of these books, and let me know your thoughts. So thankful for you. We'll be back here next time. See ya!